What's up? What's up? All right. I think I can stream now. I think this one's just slightly behind. So, all right. Thank you guys for joining me. We are 13 minutes behind because of technical difficulties. I hope that you guys find your way in here. There is, it's been a complete mess, but I apologize for that. So let's just wait until people can get in here and go from there. So just 1 second. My apologies. I think people will be able to see it because they should be getting notifications. And 1 second. All right. What's up? What's up? Welcome, welcome. Looks like people are starting to filter in. So, did you find me yet? Mm-hmm. Yeah, just go to my channel. It should be able to maybe pop up. So, yeah, there's 3 people in here right now. So, hello, hello, Kentucky, Florida. All right. So sorry, guys. Man, I don't know how many of you guys are in tune with live streams, but I set up the whole room. I did everything right. I took the license key and I dropped it into OBS, and for whatever reason, it doesn't go into that room. So, you know, my apologies. So everyone's starting to filter in. So welcome to live stream number 2. It's been a rough start, but let's kind of get the ball rolling since there's 8 of you guys in here. While we do that, let's see who's in here. Let me get the screen going so you guys can see who's in here. So live stream checklist. We don't need this no more. Let's move that one down. All right. There you go. What's up, guys? What's up, Jeff? I'm going to put this off to the side and so that you guys can see the chat. And there we go. All right, all right, all right. So 2 minutes in. My apologies, guys. Man, I wish there's a way for me to edit and to have a new start point, right? Because it's just like the warm-up stage. But let's see who's in here. Alan, need to head to work too soon. I don't even know what I just said. It's 9:15 here in Hong Kong. There you go. All right. Well, as people start to filter in, we'll kind of get to what we need to. Are we doing Porsche people? Yep. I'm assuming a lot of you guys are on the East Coast just because a lot of the West Coast people are still coming home from work, so I do apologize. I wanted to see if I can get some of the Euro people in, but I know a lot of them are dealing with 1 a.m., 2 a.m. times over there, so it's going to be a little more difficult in that sense, but yeah, sorry guys, man. I had to kind of recenter because I was getting a little frustrated, but let me see where we can start off with today. So live stream 2. All right, so I'll just start kind of getting into it, and I apologize once again for all of the lousy technical ability on my end. So one of the things I want to talk to you guys about, I got a conversation going with a follower who asked about air-cooled cars. He wanted to know what's the what would be a recommended air-cooled car to get into. And yeah, so Alan, I think it was Alan who asked me that question originally. So he said you put a deposit down for an SE, did an inspection, turned out to be a rust bucket. So, you know, it's one of those things. Recently, I've been putting up a lot of ads coming out for G-bodies and SEs and, you know, late model or early modeled accordion bumpers. And what we're noticing is a huge flex in pricing, of course. And funny enough, you know, I think we've come to the point where I think that the price of 993s have softened a bit enough to the point where I feel like a narrow body 993 is actually a really good buy today. Because if you compare what you can get like an SC for, which from what it seems like it's going for like 40 to 60,000 for whatever reason. And then you have the 3.2 Carreras that are going for 50 to 60,000. And then of course you have the G50 G bodies that are going for, I don't know, 55 to 80 or 90,000 for whatever reason. It's going crazy. So so when I start thinking about pricing, I'm thinking that right now 993 prices are probably the best to kind of run to, because I'm seeing 993s for, for example, I want to bring a trailer, and on bring a trailer, you can kind of see some of the pricing that they're dealing with. And of course, with bring a trailer, prices I feel like are going to be inflated anywhere from 10 to 15% on average for whatever reason. I think we have to factor in the auction component of it, meaning that people hate to lose and people sometimes go over their budget because they're really stretching to get a specific car. And so what we can see here is that a good clump of these cars in between the summer and today, the black ones are sold ones, and we can see a good clump of them are right here, which is between $40,000 and $60,000. So it looks like a lot of these are on the higher scale of the $50,000 range. Let's say 55 is kind of a good spot, a sweet spot for what they're going for right now. And considering what G bodies and SCs and stuff are going for, man, if you're gonna spend all that money, you might as well just get into a 993, and I think that's a really good place to be, considering that last of the Aircooled, the engineering on them are good. It's a good transmission. The power is good. I don't think you'll ever really lose money on them because 993s will always be revered, and it's just a solid place to be. If you guys look at impact bumper 911s, so the accordions, you guys can see how much more sales that they've had in the last year. And if you look here, a big clump of those are at the $50,000 range. So, for those that have driven early SCs, it's a car that you kind of have to learn to love. And I know those that own SCs really love the cars, but it's not a car that I would say most people would instinctually fall in love with immediately. From what I've seen, it's a car that people have to kind of get to know and court, and then at some point they realize it's actually a good car, versus a 993, you can get into it and it's going to be a solid car to begin with. So my thing is, why not just start off in that platform, especially at today's prices? Let's see what you guys are saying. Let's go back to the comments. So of course, Alan in Hong Kong went to go look at an SE and realized that the one that he was looking at was a rust bucket. 993 probably easiest to deal with, livable daily basis, not too common for me. Question is, when is the bubble gonna burst? I don't know. Maybe it could be this year, maybe next year, or maybe not for a couple years. Who knows? James says narrow body 993 rock. Selim Drew. Alan says I'd say if you want a daily 911 cool or air cooled, then definitely a 993. But I already have a 996 for daily, so air cooled. I want something a bit more retro and special, hence looking for an SC. So my thing is, if you're looking for something more retro, I would say maybe look for something older, or maybe look for something slightly newer, which is the G50 G bodies, which is the 87, 88, 89s. But then also those are going for really crazy money today. So I think hence why 964 is still a really good pocket, because 964s, as expensive as they are, you get kind of everything in that realm, and those are going for 50 to 75, maybe 80,000 bucks. And so Man, it's tough, man. I really feel for you guys looking for air-cooled cars right now. It's just there's not a real good pocket to be at right now. Um, and Jeff says, yeah, of course, BAT brings a larger audience. So, BAT prices are pretty crazy. If you look at 964s, their comps, for whatever reason, is very sparse. And I think this is part of the reason why costs of 964s have been cranked up. You're looking at 81 sales in the last handful of years versus 451 for impact bumpers or G bodies, and then 993 is looking at 146. So definitely 964s are sparse, hence the price. And Alan says 964 price in Hong Kong is crazy expensive, and I bet it is. So any exotic in Hong Kong is, yes, of course. Yep, definitely there weren't that many. Potato Joe, what's up? Joe's, of course, has a very beautiful early 911 resto that he's done. I can't wait to do a follow-up on that. That's going to be really awesome. What's up, Baltimore? So I think we'll kind of keep that at that and say, if you're looking today, I feel like 993 narrow bodies is a good place to be. So, according to all the comps, I think it kind of backs up that concept. So let's keep moving on. Sorry, today I'm not that fluid. I think I got flustered by the technical difficulties. So my apologies, guys. The other thing that we're going to talk about are the price of RS in the marketplace. So recently, as you guys know, last weekend at Amelia, they had a lot of auctions that didn't meet the estimated, potential end value. And the one that caught my eye the most is the 997 GT3 RS 3.6 in the RS green. And that one's actually a pretty big deal because frogs have been selling for $225 pretty consistently for a while, and all of a sudden it's sold for $160. And right here it says $179. Of course, that's including all of the fees and whatnot. Let me get this moving over. So $179 with fees. I mean, we're talking, let's do some math here. We are talking about, even at 178, we're looking at a 21% difference in price. This car had 12,000 miles, had 12,500 miles. I believe it was 2 owners. And the current owner the seller was an older female who had all sorts of documentation on maintenance and whatnot. Had PCCBs. It had almost everything you would want. For whatever reason, it didn't have any of the vinyl markings on the side. Who knows? Maybe that cost $40,000. People just were thrown off by it. I don't know, but man, we're talking about a minimum of 20 to 30% decrease in values of RS. And as if that wasn't bad enough, there is on Renlist was this aqua blue metallic. This is a 2010 997.2 GT3 RS. Very, very clean. This one has 17,000 miles. And this one was listed for $165. And I believe the seller took it off the market. But man, what do you guys think about that? These cars were going for, I think, 190 plus, maybe even 200 plus. And now, it's 165. And of course, the cost of the price of 991 GT3 RSs have been, those have been slumping also. There are tons of 991 GT3s out there. And all of this is kind of weakening as we speak. I mean, all recently, probably in the last couple of weeks. So let's go to the comments and see what you guys are saying. Scarcity creates buzz. Let me see. I hate to say this, but don't know. Discounted Triptronic for inexpensive prices. Yep, I saw that. Actually, I saw a 993 cab tip sell for, or was on sale for 33,000, but yeah. Let's see if anybody's talking about RSs here. 993s have the same greenhouse as early 911s. 964s are the last with air-cooled torpedo front fenders. That's what I love about them. 993s do everything well. 993 RS will always sell for a mega coin. Yep. Just keep a tip. It sure can't be the newer GT3 prices up. Local Atlanta dealers have so many used on the lot. So Jeff, so they are all in Atlanta. Well, I think for wherever they are, I think a lot of the RSs, wherever they're at, I think they're at the point where they're just sitting, and we're seeing this kind of happening more and more. And maybe the high end market has been suffering just because at the top of the market there's way less people qualified to buy cars, just because when you're spending 160, 200, maybe getting financing nowadays has been tougher with maybe with interest rates going up. So yeah, I don't know, where you guys at, how you guys feel about it. The comment section's a little quiet today. Sure. Thank you. Earlier today I had a conversation with Mike from P Car Talk, and between me and him, we love 997.1 RSs. It's a car that we've been talking about for some time, and there's kind of a point where we figured it's, no matter how the economy is, there's got to be a pull time for a car like that. And there was a time, I think, before they were going up in price. I believe they were around, like, I think an RS you can get for about $90,000 to $100,000, and that time might be coming again. I feel like maybe things may start to dip, and so yeah, James was talking about millennials looking for battery cars. We'll definitely get into that conversation in just a little bit about electric cars, but it's just one of those things. As we look at the high end market, I think those markets will continue to suffer a bit because as I don't know if a lot of you guys buy your cars with loans or versus just paying them off, but if you are getting a loan, the rates are more expensive than they were just a few years ago. So maybe that causes a reason for not buying a car, and hence the market is getting affected now. So personally, I would buy a 991 GT3 RS. The technology is amazing, and the machine is definitely amazing. Yep. Bite your tongue. Those cars are luxury goods. Prices will always be elastic. Yep. Just like high-end watches, second homes, etc. Yep. Yeah, for sure. I think that a lot of those things right now, the marketplace is definitely taking a hit. And I think that as we continue to watch where the marketplace goes on them, they'll start to, I think those will start to flutter more and more. So Kikoa says everyone's concerned about what the market is going to do. All asset prices are going to come down a bit, and people are getting rid of their toys to pocket the cash, like you did with your 997, bruh. Yep. Well, I mean, for me, the timing of my 997 GT3 wasn't about selling at the right time. It was more of a circumstantial thing, helping my parents out with their debt. With interest rates rising, that was part of the reasons why I sold the car and put that towards paying off their debt, just because, with rates rising, it's getting very, very expensive. So I figured since the car was already paid off, why not put that money and put it away? But at the same time, as rates are going up, and I don't want my parents paying a lot of interest, prices of cars are starting to dip, because once again, it's getting harder and harder for people to sustain a monthly minimum on those cars. So maybe that's the reason why all that's happening, for sure. So good news for enthusiasts who love them so much. We can buy low with good timing, definitely. Value first, yep. Fun cars are usually a second car, so buyers are watching. No need to jump. Still have a nice garage. Thank you. So yeah, I think good news for people who are looking to buy cars. I think coming up, if you are being patient, which I've told a lot of people, just be patient with the market. I think in the next year or two, it's going to be a really good time, especially if you have money kind of saved up instead of trying to get a loan. And here's the other thing too, is that if you're trying to buy a car, especially a much older car, and you need to finance it, you're going to run into a lot of stumbling. You're going to run into a lot of hurdles buying those cars, just because banks just don't want to loan money on older cars. It's just much, much tougher to do. So if you've been saving and you have a car fund, when the time comes when these cars start to plummet, man, time to pull the trigger, So yeah, so fun cars are usually a second car. Yeah. Still have a nice garage. Much respect for the love of the family. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Let's just kind of stay on track with things and start moving along. Credit unions are definitely great for that, but the credit unions are sometimes they get kind of, they get nervous too, like a lot of banks. So let's see what we got. RS is done. So there's been a conversation. One of my followers wanted to talk about paint to sample, and let me see if I can find that paint to sample real quick. Here we go. Nope, that's not it. Sorry. Meanwhile, I'm looking for that. Cash offers wins. Hold them until you see the right PPI. Sounds like your recent buyer really had a tough time. Props for working with her. Yeah, it's just one of those things. You try to get into a car and you'll soon find out how difficult it can be to get into the right car because of just difficulties getting into financing. So that's a real thing if you guys are looking for cars. What's up, Robin? All right, let's talk about PTS. Now, as many of you guys know, in this crazy world of Porsche pricing, everyone's looking for ways to stand out. And PTS is, our Nick says right here, if the car's older than 7 years, they won't finance. Yeah, every bank, every credit union's got their different requirements. And some of them are really strict. Some people don't want to do anything over 100,000 miles. Some people don't want to do anything over 10 years. In Nick's case, 7 years. I mean, you definitely have to call around and talk to a lot of banks. Now, PTS, I brought up Will's page here. I'm sure a lot of you guys are already following Will. He's got 105,000 followers. He just beat 100,000 recently, so congrats on that, Will. But, Will's got all sorts of unique colors here. One of my followers wanted me to talk about PTS because he says that there's so many PTSs coming out for 991s that he's wondering if they're special enough. And I don't know the actual numbers. I think in the future we'll try to get either Will or Amir to come on to talk about maybe actual numbers. But even here, I mean, just looking at this, this one looks like a Viola. Let's see if it is. Yep. Paint to sample Viola metallic. So, this color is it was very unique in the 964 wide body 94s that a lot of those wide bodies came in. The God, I have such a brain fart today, but the Jubilees, they came in the Violas, and that color is amazing. That is really a great color. The Ruby Star, the Ruby Stone, of course, a fantastic color. Lots of times we're talking about a premium of, I'm assuming, $10,000 to $25,000 for a unique color. Is it worth it? You know what? I don't know. I don't really buy new cars. If I was to buy one, would it be worth it? I'm gonna have a tendency to say yes, because even on the used market front, you can definitely get more money for a PTS. And you know, and seeing PTS colors, I think is just always a unique and wonderful experience. So, um, you know, not, no, of course, not every single PTS color is awesome, but you know, there's a lot out there that's definitely unique. I love oak green metallic. That's one of my favorite colors. There's a new color that came out recently, the black olive green, which is, man, that color is fantastic. For whatever reason, I'm not a big fan of the color green, but in this case, the green, some of the greens in the 911 world is just, it's just too good. Like Viper green is another color of mine that I like a lot. Um, whoa, Rosie, what the hell? One damn dog. All right, so look at this one. This one's racing green metallic. This one looks really cool. No, of course, Helgran. Helgran is an amazing color. This is another color for jade green from back in the day. It's like every color that I'm talking about is green. So let's go to the comments. Black olive, yes, black olive is amazing. Let's see. Let's go back to right here. If you have 20% and decent credit, you usually should be good. I think for the most part, Mike, yes, but also if depending on how much the card's appreciated, like for example 964s, if you're trying to buy one that's $85,000, you might have a hard time pulling on that one. Usually banks will have a hard time comping a car like that. And even if you beg them because it's a PTS or, you know, whatever has, you know, unique upgrades or sport seats, they're usually not going to be on the same page as you if it's too far off from the range. So Ruby Stone, yep. Agree, having a good down payment on older cars, yep. I would say at least 50% is probably a good start. I like the trend towards greens also. Never knew about this. Cool topic. Black olive, yep. Let's see what else we got. PTS, please elaborate. So PTS stands for paint to sample. So if you guys are new to the Porsche realm, you can go to Porsche and say, like usually Porsche will have their stock colors. It might be like, you know, white, black, red. And they have a whole catalog of unique colors that you could just pick from. Like, you know, Nardo gray is really popular nowadays. It could be gold, you know, tangerine. Like they have so many colors that you can actually pay them to paint your car a unique color. So that's what PTS stands for. And a lot of people are paying, you know, good money on the used market to have one. And even in the new marketplace, you know, I think, like I said, it's about a $10,000 to $25,000 premium to have a PTS color. So let me see. Jeff says if you have the loot for it, go for it. Set yourself apart. Yeah, you know, obviously if you have money, you know, that's not even a question. However, you know, in the you know, in the bigger scheme of things, you know, I'm an enthusiast. I don't have usually money on tap like that. So for those of you guys that are following me, I'm assuming a lot of you guys are in the same position where we don't come from money and, you know, we have to make better financial decisions. Like, for example, let's put this out there. Let's say you're looking for a 1992 964 C2 and you have an opportunity. Let's say the market price for a more common color, like let's say Guards Red, is around $55,000 for one with decent miles. But let's say there's a paint to sample, maybe like a blue color. Let's say there's an Aero blue or you know, whatever color you desire. But let's say there is a $12,000 premium on top of it. So now the price is $67,000. Would you guys be willing to pay an extra $12,000 premium to have that PTS? So let me see what you guys are saying. I know the video feed here is a little laggy, so Andrew said, let me put you on the spot. Your favorite Porsche color, if you had to pick top three, if that's easier. Kind of like what I was saying earlier today when I was going down the feed, you know, for whatever reason, the green colors are the ones that really stick out to me the most. Black olive, oak metallic green, and you know, if there was another color, to be honest, I really like the yellows a lot. I like signal yellow, and um, anything that kind of has a yellow but orange tone to it, I'm a really big fan of. But viola is very nice, and I don't know. I think that's where I would kind of stick with. There's a lot of unique colors. Blues are always nice too, but I think this is black olive right here. No, this is regular olive. Um, you know, oranges are nice. The Helgren is another nice color that I adore. I think this color is very nice on new cars, but then again, I've seen these on older cars too. Like I've even seen it on a 73 RS. It looked amazing. I've seen this on G bodies. I've seen that on everything, and it actually looks very nice on almost every color. So I don't know. For whatever reason, I'm leaning towards green. So let me see. What about Jade? Yep, Jade, Helgren, same color. I love that color. It's amazing. Sun Gang. Viola's dope. Love that color. Yep. Yellow like the sun. What's up, Tyler? Yellow like the sun. Yep. James says I would rather drive a plain J911 than hold out and hope for a PTSP car. So, you know, I'm on the boat where at this point in time, if you know, the market tumbles a bit, I'll probably get into a car that I could build out. I'll probably do a PTS color myself, or I'll probably just do some crazy custom color like a Honda color. I'm pretty sure everyone's gonna hate on that for sure. But you know, Champ White's a color that I've always loved a lot. That's a color that I would consider. Since I'm a Honda boy back in 2000, back in the day, the SIs have electronic blue. That's an incredible color. So that's a color that I might consider as well. But you know, mint green. Tyler likes mint green. Mint green is amazing. You know, he was thinking about doing that for RWB. But you know, it's hard to kill the rice in the rice boy. You feel me? Mouse gray. Yep, Max. That's of course a beautiful color. I'm not really big on wraps. I've seen a lot of wrap jobs, and although they're getting better every year, there's just something about them in terms of cost wise and you know, all the corners and stuff. It just gets to me. I rather have a color that I just choose and stick with over time. So yeah, that's just me. Yep, JDM colors on P car. You know, at the end of the day, you know, it's funny because this concept of money and wealth is kind of interesting in the car world because I don't come from money. It's a lot of the stuff that I want to do. It's really kind of based on this idea of grassroots. And although, you know, like Honda is Honda, you know, we kind of came from, like, a lot of the Asian guys came from the Honda scene. You know, that stuff is very inherent in us. You know, those colors are so iconic that I feel like they can transcend the Honda scene. I feel like they can be done really well even in a Porsche. But whatever, you know, it's just one of those things that, you know, I'll do just because it's for me. I'm not, you know, building a car for thumbs ups and likes and whatnot. So but yeah, definitely GPW. You know, definitely looks very close to Champ White. So, you know, in that case, I may not do Champ White just because it's so close to GPW, but the other colors like electronic blue might be something that I might be interested in it, even though I'm not a big fan of the color blue in general. But so Empty Street says, if you're planning on interacting straight off chat, you should view live chat. The top chat hides some messages. So oh, I see. Well, thank you for that. Let me see if we can go to live chat and see what's going on. All right, so thank you. I changed it, and so hopefully that's better. Let me see. It's your car, you do you. Thank you, Purist. Wait, there is a new 911 Aircooled coming up. Not that I know of, and if there is anything, I would assume it's from Roof, but we carry the torch now. We are turning the page. Yes, Mike. So if you guys haven't seen Mike's 964, he's got a Guards Red in Tampa, and his car is loud as hell. I mean, Mike is definitely a rice boy, so we're definitely bringing the fried rice flavor into the mix. Um, Unfortunately, in California, we're a little capped off on exactly how loud we can get. We're definitely going to take a beating when we get pulled over. Mike, fortunately for him, who's in Florida, there's not a lot of laws that allow them to, limit what they can do to their car. So good for Mike. When you come to California, actually, Mike, for Lyft, you better watch out, like how loud you rev your car here, because you're just probably gonna get a lot of crap from cops. So, James said sand beige Celica rocked the world in 1979. JDM colors were what you would get, same as buying a P car. You know what also is awesome is that Toyota has some really amazing colors, like their concrete gray on the Tacomas. Like, dang, that color is super badass. Sand is a really amazing color. And when I was in Florida, in Miami, there was I think, was it James who had that kind of sandy looking 911 SC? Man, that color was really cool, man. It was really, really unique. So I think the car should reflect your personality. So if your roots are JDM, I think you should be combining two. It's definitely a way to go. Thank you, I agree. What about Midnight Purple on a P car? I don't know if I've ever seen Midnight Purple, but if it looks anything like Viola, then yes, definitely go for it. Or if you're talking about Midnight Purple from GTRs, then yes. I thought you were talking about P cars for whatever reason, but yeah, Midnight Purple would look amazing, and I think it would look very close to Viola. But yeah, that would be definitely an awesome color. Was he in the Miami video? Yeah, he was in the day one in the evening meet. There was that meet at Beat Culture. He was he was kind of the only outlaw that was there. That was a really, 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 really cool car. So check that out. Lawless here, bro. Blew out my headphones. Sorry, man. I'm so new to all this. Here, I turned it down just a bit for you guys. I like maritime and yachting. I'm not sure what color yachting is. Maritime, of course, is an amazing color. 2017, I couldn't get a PTS spot when I ordered my .2 GT3, but luckily graphite blue was available, so I spec that out. Yep, graphite's a really cool color for sure. GB didn't last long, and then the GT3.2 production. So Zuffenhausen removed it in short time. It's like PTS, non-PTS color now for GT3. I am super nervous about that for the real exhaust fines. Yikes. Yeah, Mike. I mean, your car is super loud, bro. You're gonna have to keep those RPMs a little low. So Renato says, to be honest, I don't understand straight piped or super loud cars. A good catback should be enough for most people. Yep. I mean, I guess that's kind of a preference thing. So, I ran fourth gear all the time. Got a question. Besides clear wraps, what's the best protection for paint when you do a color change? I mean, I would just assume clear wrap. So, or drive slow. But if you drive slow, might as well sell your car, right? They'll give you exhaust ticket in California even without plates out of states. Sorry, out of state plates. I believe they will. I don't know if they can really enforce it, because if you end up going back, then I don't know if it just gets dropped. But I don't know. Are 911 cooled drives only for air cooled? Greg, that is no. So basically, whenever I do a drive, it's kind of open to all 911s, but I don't want to. I don't know. Sometimes on my drives, I will say open to all Porsches, open to all 911s, or open to all makes and models. So for Luft weekend, I'll probably make it a little bit more loose so that so everyone can come out and enjoy, especially if people are coming in from out of state who have to rent cars. I might just have that as an open invite. But what I'll do is I'll probably clump the 911s and Porsche stuff separately from everybody else. That way we can kind of keep the videos a little bit more focused. But so yeah, so in the future when I throw one, please come out. It'll be a really fun time. Robin says, Drew, when are you planning to visit the East Coast? I'm hoping to maybe check out New York sometime in the fall, maybe this year. If all goes well, then that may go down. Maybe even Chicago. We'll see. So Mike, that's something that I'm still working out because of Lyft being on a Saturday. Depending on when I might do the meet and greets for my special guests coming up. That might be on a Thursday and the drive may be on a Friday, but I'll actually throw that back to you guys and ask you about how many of you guys can actually join the drive, whether it's going to be on a Thursday or a Friday. So hopefully if I do it on a Friday, enough of you guys can take the day off and join us, because that San Diego cruise is just going to be amazing. I really wanted to do on a Saturday because their Cars and Coffee is really amazing over there in Rancho Santa Fe. But unfortunately, a lot of you guys are going to miss it just because everyone's going to be at Louvre. So, sorry guys, I know I'm like stuttering, doing all these things. My throat's all scratchy. We had a terrible start, but let me get to your questions. Drew, plan a NorCal drive sometime, please. That would be amazing. Actually, if I go up to Car Week in August, that's something that we can do then. So if so, then let's do it. ATL. Actually, funny enough, my buddy Fu is moving to Atlanta, and he's already calling me out to come visit him. So Atlanta definitely may be in the works. So let's keep that in mind. Chicago, most definitely. So Jeff, Lyft is going to be on May 11th this year on a Saturday. So that made it really tough for a lot of people because it's a day early and it's a day before Mother's Day. There's also a lot of graduations, so there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna be kind of tough pressed to make it. So, all right, so let's continue on the conversation. So we'll move on past PTS. It seems like it's just one of those things. If you can afford it, definitely do it. But you know, it's just one of those things, man. When you got money, I guess you can flex on it. Recently, what do we got here? Recently, there was an article from Road and Track that said an electric 911 is probably coming. And I saw an article somewhere else also talking about this. And let's see. So I want to hear what you guys have to say about an all-electric 911. And as you guys know, there's a lot of 911s that are kind of being built right now on the aftermarket side. And we watched a couple videos on them, and they're definitely interesting. But how do you guys feel about that? Like, already with newer cars, you guys already know the...
I want one.
So I had my wife watch the electric video YouTube videos earlier, and now she says she wants one. So let me ask you guys a question. When I first fell in love with 911s, it was because of the whole experience, from the door click to the smells to the feels. But already with newer cars, we already know that newer cars don't have the door click. So that's already gone. The smell probably, yes. Now the rumbles and the sounds are going to go away, which begs the question. So sorry. So it begs the question, if you had a 911 that was silent, fast as hell, but silent, didn't have all of the feels, is that a car that has value to you? Is that a car that you guys see yourself driving or wanting to own in the future? Like a hybrid 918. I mean, perhaps, a 918 is a it's kind of interesting because the 918, I believe, I've seen a video where a 918, even though it's not super fast, I heard is actually pretty decently fast when they were doing like 918 and LaFerrari quarter mile test. But of course, I know a lot of you guys love the air-cooled market, but I don't know how many of you guys have actually owned and driven an electric car. My wife and I have we owned a Fiat 500e for about 2 or 3 years, and my wife got range anxiety a lot, so we didn't really have it for long before we gave it to my parents. But you start driving, and then you start kind of fearing the outcome of not being able to make it home, and so we got rid of it. But now cars are coming out with much longer ranges, and so my thing is, if they did come out with the 911 that had a ton of torque, like off the line, that handled well, you know what? I don't want to say no yet, because until I drive one, like I don't want to be that guy that just says no to everything and then find out later like it really was dope. So I'm kind of curious about what you guys had to say about it though. But let's see. Um, Let me see. I would like a hybrid and petrol. Retrofit 911s are common, mega torque, but no soul. So I don't know enough about electric cars, but they aren't they all the same? If all electric, how would you differentiate between them? Gas engines are different. I would just say probably just the amount of kilowatts and how much you know power you can put down. Here's the thing: when you get into a car that has too much torque, you get that feeling where your brain feels like it's kind of like going back, your vision's going back, and you feel like you're kind of like losing all like bodily functions. Man, with electric cars, it's gotta be like way more different, in that sense. If you get into a 911 that's super fast, I almost feel like that's almost like a safety concern, because like I don't think streets were really meant for that. So um sorry, electro 911 would be fun but not the same feeling. Drove Teslas and love the takeoff but hate the short range. um let's see, I need sounds, but that from the exhaust, but I see the point of traffic is horrible here in Tampa. I can maybe daily one, maybe, but very unsure. Yep. I equate this debate to mechanical watches versus quart watches. Quartz are obviously more accurate, better for perspective. I said mechanical watches will always be king. So, um, all right. So yeah. I mean, I guess we're all on agreement here that most likely you guys won't be the next buying market for electric 911s. But I'm pretty sure Porsche will come up with some crazy way to convince people that it's definitely worth probably whatever they're gonna ask, which is probably around like 200K, I bet. But this is something we should be looking out for. Obviously, the Mission E is a car that is being talked about a lot right now. But obviously, the Mission E is a different type of car. It's a four-door car. It's probably gonna be really sporty and whatnot. But you know, it's kind of out of, I guess, the enthusiast range. Um, so all right, goodbye to that, and then let's see what other comments you guys have. Let's see, same evolution wristwatches. Yep. So Nick says no, thank you. I had a 991.2 and went to a GT4 because I wanted to get back to NA. All cars are fast. How much faster do we need to go? Kikoa, that's definitely a valid point. That's something that I think about all the time. As cars get faster and faster and faster, man, you really got to think about how much that's really adding to the value of the driving experience. And I feel like owning a car that's ultra fast is really not all that enticing, because to be honest, if you have a car that has like 350 to 400 horses, I feel like that's more than enough to get into trouble and really do a lot of havoc on the street. But once you start driving cars that are doing 6, 7, 800 horses, and it's a much different driving experience. And so, for example, when I went to there was a time where a bunch of us got together, and it was the purest winter drive. So I met up with some buddies who have, my buddy Wes had the BMW wagon that supercharged, is doing like 600 horses. Our buddy Thomas had a GTR that was doing like 650. We had a couple of boys that just had over 600 horses. And my GT3 had 415 horses. I was the slowest in the bunch. And here we are on the freeway driving very fast, and it's like, man, even at 415 horses, it's so fast already. And then you're talking 600-700 horses. Like, I mean, it's really silly, man. I think it's kind of just getting to the point where it's I don't get that same thrill of driving in a straight line that fast, but some people do. So but I'm definitely with you on the same page. Silicon Valley buying. Yep. Yo. The next challenge would have to make an electric car stand out from the other sports car. Yep. Um, Fat 6 or Flat 6 has different characters than a V8, V12, straight 6. The only difference is kilowatt. Yep. Uh, Porsches have been compared to same quality and design as timeless classics. Yep. Honestly, which is why I think a base 911 is the happy medium, enough to horsepower to actually enjoy it. I drive slow so they can see me. Any late scoop and lift 6 location. I do not have any other updates to the location, so sorry about that. If you guys are looking to get a room, my suggestion is to get something. Man, I don't know. I mean, last year was in Torrance, and Torrance is a pretty good distance from downtown. I would say it's probably about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on traffic. Or a lot of people get places on the west side. So I'm about 30 miles east of downtown. You don't want to come out my way. It's just a bunch of suburbs out here, suburban homes and families and stuff. So I'll meet up a lot of you guys out towards LA. But the closer you guys are to downtown, I think that'll be, that'll be better. So, yep, definitely. Mother's Day weekend is gonna be pretty tough. So I'm gonna keep the conversation going. The next question was, or the next topic was, somebody wanted to know where I kind of come from with the history of cars that I've owned. So let me close this real quick. Bring the trailers out. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you guys a real quick history on some of the cars I've had, but I can't find one of my other windows. So sorry, I got to be organized better for this for you guys for next time. All right, so let's see. So in the last handful of years, I've owned. I know a lot of you guys come from the S2000 scene, which is really amazing because the S2000 and Miata scene has a lot of real hardcore enthusiasts that just love to drive. And I owned my S2000 for nine and a half years, and I met such a great group of people over there. It's just a great community to be a part of, and learning how to drive is really an awesome experience. So on the bottom right, I had my 2006 NFR S2000. I had that for a very long time with the hard top. I had like 20,000 miles when I sold it. It was very mint. I thought I was going to own that car forever. So, so that was really tough. But I had to sell that car in order to get my GT3. So it was a sacrifice that was well worth it. You guys can see my GT3 in the top right corner. This is kind of right after I got it. I got my NSX GPW 2002 in 2013. I got it at a really good time, and I was very fortunate to get a car like this. And so that was kind of my holy grail of cars. Everything that came after that was really just a blessing for me. A few years later, I got the Evo 10. It was a 2015, the last of all the great Evos, or the Evo 10 Evos was all the brakes and the Recaros and whatnot. And I only got that car because my son was really kind of obsessed with Evos when he was young, and I wanted a car that he could kind of open his eyes to and just be really excited to see every day. But that was very short-lived. He didn't like the car over an extended period of time, and that's a car when I owned it, I wasn't just a really big fan of it. I'm not a big turbo guy. The gears are very short. It's only 5-speed. Just everything about the car is big and fat. It's just a car that I just didn't enjoy. And if you guys enjoy that car, not an issue. But for me, it was a car that I didn't really like too much. Around the same time, I got my '89 C4, and then I also got a C2 around the same time as well. That's not in this picture. And also owned the E36 M3 with the S54 in it. As you guys can see, it's super clean. although I'm not a big silver guy, I kind of fell in love with this Arctic blue silver or Arctic silver that kind of has a little bit of blue in it, and it was an interesting car. I owned it for about I think 7 to 9 months or so. It's a car that I just didn't really connect with, and although it was a pretty quick car, because I felt kind of disconnected from it, I ended up selling it, and it went to a good home. A guy in San Diego picked it up who really loves M3s, and so I'm glad it went to that house. And let me see what you guys are saying real quick. When will they announce the location? I do not know. It's all super low key. Let's all crash at Drew's. I wish I had enough room for all you guys. If I had a warehouse, maybe. When will you be producing 911C decals that can be mounted from the inside the glass? If that's something that you are interested in, Albert, I can get those ordered. So we'll talk about that on the side. Okay, tell us. Pick only 2 lenses for car photography. What's up, Esteban? I will tell you guys in just a second. All right. So still have a white one singing with the driveway. S2K for life. That NSX, yes sir. Miata owner here too. Hell yeah. And S2K also. I love seeing the evolution of car guys, but I think, you know, grassroots, once again, this is the reason why I love talking to you guys about it, because a lot of us, you know, it's a natural progression to get into a car like a Porsche. We're not, you know, we don't just end up with Porsches to start off with. You know, we came from rear wheel drive cars. We came from front wheel drive cars, and you know, to see that natural progression has been really, really cool. So, so if you went from Evo instead of STI, I went with the Evo. I would have normally have gotten the STI over the Evo, but because my son was so enamored with the Evo's front end, like that face, he was just so in love with it. I ended up getting the Evo just because of him. But yeah, like I said, it didn't work out for me too well. I ended up leasing the car, and by the time I sold it, I only had like 6,000 miles on it. I ended up selling it for a profit, so that was pretty cool. Let's see. Yeah, good track cars. Evo's live. I had 3 of them at once. Jeez. I owned a super clean E36 M3. Nice. Evo FE and a Focus RS. Tracked at RS extensively. Sebring. Nice. What are you driving now? I have my 993. I just sold my GT3, and then I have my NSX. So, yep. I owned actually a lot of cars at the same time. I got to a point where I was just buying cars left and right, and it was interesting. It was a good time. So my 993, of course, with the GT3 there, and then of course I got into buying 964s. At one point, all my cars were white. I think I had like 12 cars that were all white, so that got out of hand pretty quick. So yeah, I think that's kind of in the last 5 years. Those are some of the cars that I've owned. Let me see, Rice baby. All right, guys. So that's kind of the extent of my collection over the handful of years. The last topic is for the photography heads. I've gotten enough requests from people asking, you know, what they should do if they're starting off with photography, what they should do, they should start off with, and you know, for those that know my story, you know, I've been a photographer since, you know, I've been a working photographer since 2002. Right when I got out of college, my dad kind of hooked me up with a DJ who, you know, who was doing a lot of weddings, and ended up becoming a wedding photographer right out of college. Out of circumstance, I learned how to shoot weddings, you know, back in 2003 when I didn't even know what I was doing. You know, I got a camera, and it was a lot of spray and pray type of shooting. And I've had a really blessed photography career. If I was to give you guys one tip, you know, maybe I might give you guys a tip at the end of every live stream, but I think the biggest thing that I can tell you is when I started photography, my first camera was a Canon. It was a 60D. Okay, so back then Canon, before they went to I'm sorry, it was a D60. So before they went to the naming convention of, you know, 10D, 20D, 30D, they actually did it the other way around. So it was D60, and that cost me $2,300. And I didn't have an option to buy a Rebel. I didn't have the option of shooting RAW because back then there was no RAW software except for the one that came in the box, and it was just terrible. So you had to shoot JPEG. There was no Lightroom, and I think the biggest thing that I see with young shooters today is that a lot of young shooters today get to the point where they watch a lot of YouTube to learn how to shoot, and then they apply filters, and without knowing a lot about photography in general, they just kind of copy someone else's style. And I think what hurts the marketplace today is that everyone has a style that looks very similar to someone else's. And I think that if you guys want to develop a style takes time to develop. And the only way that you guys will become more unique as an artist is to experiment, which means don't follow somebody too closely because you will end up becoming like the people that you follow. So my thing is go out, shoot things differently, experiment with color, experiment with exposures, with composition, with color grading, with subject matter. Do all of that stuff, and eventually you'll come to the point where people start to recognize you for what you do. So for example, my boy Darian Craven, his account's been blowing up a lot lately. I love Darian's work. His work is very fresh, it's very unique, and it's very current. He's doing stuff that not a lot of people are doing because he went out and he found a style that worked for him. And of course, now everybody wants to do what he's doing, but he's not so open to sharing because he knows that if he just shared his information with everybody, it would just dilute his own brand. And I think by him doing that, I think that's the right move because, in a sense, like you want to help people, but you don't want to give people just the entire recipe. You just want to help them say, hey, look, maybe try that recipe and try that ingredient, mix it together and see what you find. That's the way I teach, and I want people to find a unique style for them. So, going back to all of this, just do crazy stuff, just try things different. Don't follow, YouTube too much. Just go out and experiment. And along that journey, you will find something that works for you. So, let's see. Craven is the GOAT. Craven is my boy, man. He is definitely awesome. So I think I'll just kind of leave it at that. I know a lot of you guys are found me through my photography, and you guys have a lot of questions about it. But photography is such a expansive topic that is something that you just can't hit on all at one time. So just take that tip, and then maybe in a month, come back and tell me how that worked out for you. But definitely experiment. If you guys are not experimenting, then you guys are not really doing artistry. You guys are just kind of being very robotic. So let me see. Yeah, Ronaldo, send me a couple pictures to DM and I'll give you kind of my feedback on it. Not an issue. Let's see what else there is before we top this off here. That's really it. I have a big project coming up at the end of the month. I'm so excited to really share that with you guys, but I can't do that now because I just want it to be a surprise. So just hold off for that. For the time being, I have a lot of new products coming out or that did come out. So if you guys are looking to support the channel, my Toyo poster just came out today. For all those people who are looking to get into something to hang on your wall, I did a bunch of new postcards and new 964 stickers came out. So if you guys are looking to support, check that out. The website is shop.911cool.com. But that's it for now. I'm thanking you guys for joining me, even with all the technical difficulties. I'll do my best to try to make the next one more streamlined, and I'm so sorry that we ran into those issues, but I'm glad you guys hung around. If you guys have any other miscellaneous questions, I'll take those in the next few minutes, and if not, then I'll see you guys on the next one. So the next streaming, I don't know when it's going to be. I really want to do a stream with the European market, which is coming up. The European market is like 9 hours ahead of me, so I might do one that starts around 10 p.m. I know for the East Coast people, that's going to be a little late for you guys as well. But, I kind of wanted to hit as many of the people around the world as possible. So we'll do something like that in the future. if there's anything else that you guys want to see coming up on my Instagram or on the YouTube, I'm trying to do 2 videos a week on YouTube, but man, it is really hard with all the stuff that I'm juggling. I really want to finish off the Miami stuff. We have the collection coming, which was probably the best Cars and Coffee I've ever been to. So that one will be coming up next, hopefully Sunday night or Monday night. That will be out. And once Miami's finished, we'll have some of the, what do we have? We had the open house weekend for Benton. That was really cool. We have my GT3 video coming out, and a few other stuff coming out that is gonna be a little low key until the time comes. So, but that's it for now, guys. Thank you. I'll see you guys on Instagram. Please follow me there if you're not following me already. But thank you guys. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.